John 3. Cameron. John 3, verse 16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor,
Neighbor,
I will.
I will.
Amen. You may be seated.
Amen.
I will. I will. Won't be before you very long. I just have a short message that I feel. A wealthy man and his son loved to collect rare works of art. They had everything in their collection, from Picasso to Raphael. They would often sit together and admire the great work of art. When the Vietnam conflict broke out, the son was sent to war. He was very courageous, and he died in battle while rescuing another soldier. The father was notified, and he grieved so deeply for the loss of his only son. Years and years ago, he had lost his wife, and his son was all that he had. And now he has lost his son. About a month later, just before Christmas, there was a knock on the door, and a young man stood at the door with a large package in his hand. The young man said to the old man, "Sir, you don't know me, but I am the soldier from whom your son gave his life. He saved many lives that day, and he carried me to safety when a bullet struck him in his heart, and he died instantly." The old man's eyes filled up with tears as he heard this young man tell the story of how his son died. The young man said, "You know, your son often talked about you. He talked about you often. And I know," he said, "you love art." He said, "Now, I'm not a great artist, but I thought you would like this." And he handed the father the package he had in his arm. The father tore open the package, and it was a picture, a portrait of his son. The soldier said, "I'm not a great artist, but I did my best in capturing your son." The father was drawn to the eyes of his son in the picture, that his own eyes welled up with tears. He stood in awe, for the soldier had captured the personality of his son and that smile that he had. And he thanked the young man. He said, "Can I pay you for this picture?" He said, "No, sir, because I could never repay the gift that your son gave."
Amen.
As the soldier departed, the old man set about hanging the picture above the fireplace. He took down a Picasso. He moved over a Rembrandt, and he put his son's picture as he pushed aside thousands of dollars of other pictures. And every time a visitor would come by his home, he would take them to the fireplace. Before they seen a Picasso, before they seen a Rembrandt, he showed them the picture of his son. The man sat in the chair and would gaze upon the picture for hours. That spring, the old man became ill, and he passed away. The art world was in high anticipation because they knew about the collection of art that he and his son had collected over the years. And finally, the day arrived when all the art would be auctioned on Christmas Day of all days. The day arrived, and the art collectors from all around the world gathered to bid on some of the world's most spectacular painting. Dreams some of these collectors had because they had been in the house and seen some rare works of art. And the auction began with a painting that was not on the museum's list.
Wow, wow.
The auctioneer pounded the gavel and asked the opening bid. The room was silent. Who will open this bidding for $100 for this portrait? Who will give me $200? Minutes passed and not one person spoke. There was silence, and then from the back of the room, somebody said, who cares about that painting of somebody's son? We came here for the real bid. The auctioneer was persistent. He said, who will give me 100? Who will give me 2? Another angry voice cried out, we did not come here to bid on that. We came here to see the Picassos, the Raphaels, the Van Goghs. The sun, the sun. The auctioneer cried, who will take the sun?
What hell?
One solitary life, a child was born, the child of a peasant woman. He grew up in an obscure village. He worked in a carpenter's shop until he was 30. He never wrote a book. He never held an office. He never went to college. He never visited a big city. He never traveled more than 200 miles from where he was born. He did none of those things that are usually associated with famous people. He was 33 when he died upon a wooden cross.
Lord help.
Enemies turned against him, mockery of a trial. He was nailed on a cross between two thieves. When he lay dying, they gambled for the only property that he owned, his clothes. And he was so poor that he had to borrow a grave to be buried in. 19 centuries have come and gone. And all today that Jesus is still the central figure of the world. Of all the navies that ever sailed, of all the armies that ever marched, of all the parliament that ever sat, there has never reigned one person as this solitary life.
Amen.
And the auctioneer cried, the sun. Who will take the sun? And finally, an old gardener who worked for the Father stood up and said, I'll take the sun. I only have $10, but I will give you that for the sun. The auctioneer said, $10 going once, $10 going twice. So, and the gavel hit the podium. And the crowd got excited now because the real auction was about to start. And the auctioneer said, that is the end of the auction. And the people said, what do you mean that is the end of the auction? What about the Rembrandts, the Van Goghs, the Raphaels? What about them? And the auctioneer said, because it is over, I can tell you what the Father had told me. The Father said to me, whoever takes the Son gets it all.
Amen.
Whoever takes the Son gets it all.
Amen.
Who will take the Son?
Yes.
And now you know the title of the sermon. Who will take the Son? And the auctioneer cried, who will take the son? And the sermon title was,
I will.
I will. But nobody cried out. Who will take the son? The auctioneer cried. And the people just sat there quiet. Just like we are right now. But the old man stood up, sister. And he said,
I will.
I will.
Amen.
Amen.
I'll take the son.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll take him. And when he took the son, he gained everything.
Yeah.
Only through taking the son
Yeah.
can you get the true riches of this world.
Yeah.
Only by taking the son can you get the true riches of life. And when you take the son, everything you didn't want, you still get to have. Because when you take the son, you get it all.
Amen.
Why? Because the son owns all the paintings. Everything that the father had, he gave to the son. But when he lost the son, everything that his son had, he gave to whoever will take his son.
Amen.
And the father is crying, who will take the son? And the auctioneer cried, who will take the son? And the auctioneer cried, who will take the son? They just don't get it. Who will take the son? They just don't get it.
Amen.
Nobody in this church stood up and said,
I will.
we sat here and heard the auctioneer cry. We sat here and heard them say, who will take the son? And even though we knew the word to say, not one person cried,
I will.
we sat there when we should have been.
Yeah.
Why? Because he died for me.
Amen.
Why? Because he shed his life for me.
Amen.
Don't let the auction close without you making the bid to take the son
Amen.
in your life. Don't let your auction of life close without you saying,
I will.
for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. God came not into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved.
Amen.
Who will take the Son?
Amen. I will.
I will.
Amen.
Yes, Lord.
And that's all God is asking.
Amen.
If you take the Son,
Amen.
you'll get true riches.
Amen.
Oh, Jesus.
The doors of the church are getting ready to close. Isn't it funny that so many times we say the doors of the church is open?
Yes.
But I am saying the doors of the church is about to close. And the Father wants to know, will you take the Son? Will you take the Son? The cost of taking the Son is higher than $10. The cost of taking the Son may cost you your friends.
Well.
The cost of taking the Son might cost you your job. But who will take the Son? Taking the Son might cost you your marriage. Taking the Son might cost you your reputation. But I just want to know who will take the Son.
Amen.
Will you be bold enough? Will you be brave enough Will you be boisterous enough to say, I will? I will. I will. I will. As I often told long ago, there was a revival going on in the city of this cowboy town. And everybody in town, since it was so small, was at the revival, but this one old cowboy who was a drunk. But on the last day of the revival, this old drunk cowboy came into the church right before the pastor was going to close. And when he walked in, all the people went up in arms. And the preacher looked up and he said, "This is my opportunity. This is my opportunity." And he yelled out, "Will somebody here stand up for Jesus?" And all the people were waiting for the old cowboy. And he said, "Will somebody here please stand up for Jesus? Will somebody stand up for Jesus?" And finally, the old cowboy stood up, drunk as a skunk. And all the people began to clap. And the preacher said, "Young man, what made you stand up for Jesus?" And he said, "To tell you the truth, I really don't know this fellow Jesus. But it sure looked like he didn't have many friends in here. Won't you stand up for Jesus?"
Amen.
Who will take the Son? Taking the Son got to be more than just your mouth. It's got to be more than just words.
Man.
It has to be in action.
Yes, yes.
Will you take the Son? Not just on Sunday. Will you take him Monday? Will you take him Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday and Saturday? Will you take the Son with you to your job? Will you take the Son with you to your friend's house? Will you take the Son?